What is work-life balance? Yes, work, I think we understand. Work is going to work, it's a means to earn the money that we need so that we can live life to the fullest. Because life requires money, yes? And work is going to be that means that's going to allow us to earn the money that we need so that we can live life. So work today, the new age of work has become even more demanding, even more challenging. Because now we have realized that there is no fixed hours for work. Right? While on paper it's 8 to 5, 9 to 5, 9 to 6, but the reality is most of us are working even till late night because we are now collaborating with partners, with colleagues, with clients who are not just in the same time zone, but in a different time zone altogether. And because of that, to make schedules meet, we may need to work at night. We are going to be up till wee hours at night and then start back our work early in the morning. So that's we've got Zoom meetings after Zoom meetings after Zoom meetings after Zoom meetings after Zoom meetings to the point where it has reached this point where there is Zoom fatigue going on. People are traumatized by the word Zoom, which is not healthy. And on top of that, a lot of us are also working from home, which means that line between work and life has become so blurred that most people can't even differentiate what is work and life anymore. Okay? But here's the thing. The common notion is we need work-life balance. All right? So work is work, we understand work, but what is life? What falls under life? Who can share with me? Just shout it out. What is life for you? All right? Is it kids? Is it family? Is it your time? What is life? Because, isn't it true? Some of us may actually find that life is more overwhelming than work. Right? Life can be more overwhelming than work. To the point when work from home stopped, people were actually glad to go back to the office. Right? So you think about it this way, right? Work is overwhelming, that's a given. For most people, work is overwhelming, right? And then now we go back to our daily life, which is not work, and it's even more overwhelming. Because the reality is there's a lot to do in life. Like I said, there's family, there's kids, there's chores, there's errands, all kinds of things. So, my question is this: where does self-care fit in all of this? Because the common understanding is self-care falls under life, but as we realize, life is quite overwhelming. Right? So we are caught in this cycle where we go to work, we work, we build up stress, we build up stress, we build up stress, we build up stress, and then we go home. This is supposed to be the relaxing time, and now we are working at home, but we are not working on work, we are working on life. And then we go to bed, and we feel that is the time that we can rest, but we are not really resting because our mind is working overtime, thinking about the challenges that tomorrow is going to bring, the deadlines that is in store for us, whether we have done this, whether we have not done that, the kids and all that, and then we get back the next day. So where is self-care? And the answer is most of us don't know what it means to take care of ourselves. And that's the honest truth. We don't know what does it mean to take care of ourselves. And if we don't know how to take care of ourselves, how are we going to take care of ourselves? Okay? So, burnout is a serious issue. Okay? Burnout is a serious issue, and work is just one of the contributors to burnout. Life is the other contributor. Right? Burnout affects millions of people all over the world, right? And it decreases our quality of life. And when I mean quality of life, I mean how we experience life decreases. Because life will present everybody around here with the same experience. For example, all of you are sitting here, all of you are standing at the back, we are all experiencing the same thing, which is me standing on this stage speaking. But whether you're having a good time or whether you're bored out of your mind, right? Yes, I may play a little bit of a part in that, but your state of mind, your emotional state of mind is what will determine your experience right now. And this happens with everything in life, right? So your quality of life, meaning are you enjoying life, or are you feeling that life is a dread, right? That happens in here, right? That's with the lenses that we have on how we see life. Ever heard of the difference between an optimist and a pessimist? An optimist sees a glass half full, a pessimist sees a glass half empty. The reality is the glass is the same for the optimist and the pessimist. There's no difference in the water level between an optimist and a pessimist, but the lenses that we have on will determine how we see the glass. Right? This is the same of how we see life as well. Okay, so my belief is that the reason why millions of people in this world are affected by burnout is simply because we don't have a clear understanding between work-life balance, and more importantly, we don't know where self-care fits in. Okay, so here's my question to you. What is burnout? And more importantly, what do you feel when you're experiencing burnout? What do you feel when you're experiencing burnout? Do you feel demotivated? Do you feel exhausted mentally? Do you feel like you don't have the energy to take on life? Do you feel sad? Do you feel depressed? What is it that you're feeling? Because we are human beings, and human beings are driven by emotions, right? We are all driven by emotions. Emotions affect our thoughts, emotions affect our language, emotions affect our actions, and emotions affect our behavior. What I have behind me is a simple communication model of how we react to the information that we collect in the external. Remember, our environment is all around us. Everything that is happening around us, that is our environment. And our environment will present us with experiences and events. We collect information from the external through our five senses, and only our five senses. Those who feel that they have a sixth sense, that sixth sense is a feeling that you get internally, which happens at stage 2. But stage 1 is how we collect information from the external. How do we collect information from our external? Through our five senses. What are our five senses? Sight, sound, touch, taste, and yeah, there you go, and smell. Right? So these are our five senses. So we collect information through our five senses. This information now is sent to stage 2. This is the stage where we process the information within us. How do we process the information? We use our past experiences. We use our values, our beliefs, our thoughts. Right? And this now develops meaning to the information that we have collected. So then our thoughts will then reaction from that we are now going to send back to the external. What kind of a reaction are we going to send? It's now going to determine what's our focus going to be. It's going to determine how we're going to feel, right? And it's going to determine our language, both verbal and non-verbal. So this is what I mean, that our emotions, because when we are forming thoughts in stage 2, our emotional state also affects the thoughts that we start forming. So our emotions affect our thoughts, our language, our actions, and our behaviors. And if you have looked into emotional intelligence, right, there's a very simple emotional intelligence model called the TFA model, which is think, feel, act. Right? So think, feel, act is not, thoughts, feelings, and actions. Right? While it may feel like it's a very linear model where what we think affects how we feel affects the actions, the reality is they are all interconnected. All right? Changes to one area will affect the other area. How we feel will affect how we think. How we act will affect how we feel. Our feelings will affect our behaviors, our language. Any one of these area changes, it will affect another area. Right? But at the heart of it all, in the middle of it all, is our feelings. Because if we can manage our emotional state, if we know what to do when we are feeling down, when we are feeling stressed, when we are feeling burnt out, then we can start inside. Most of us focus on the outside, right? And we try to fix everything that is happening on the outside, But if we start managing what's here, I don't want to say the word that we fix what's in here, but we have to manage what's in here, because what we feel is natural. It is not wrong to feel burnt out. It is not wrong to feel sad. It is not wrong to feel depressed, because if it's happening, it's happening. But how are we going to manage it? How are we going to pick ourselves up? Because when we can master that, that's emotional mastery. Emotional mastery is having self-awareness of how we are feeling, and how do we leverage on how we are feeling, how do we regulate how we are feeling, so that we can now set ourselves up towards achieving the goals that we have in life. All right, by the way, we've all heard in the area of self-development and self-help that having goals in life is good, right? While it gives us direction, right? Goals definitely gives us direction, because if we've all used Google Maps, we know Google Maps require two critical information for it to work. One, our present location. Two, where do we want to reach to. Only with these two information can Google Maps plan out a route to take us from where we are to where we want to be. So life is the same. And that is why it's important to have goals in life and expectations in life. But when we get too caught up with what we want to achieve, we forget about the present moment. And when we are not achieving what we want to achieve, most people look at achievement as a do or die thing. Meaning, if we achieve it, that's success. If we don't achieve it, that's failure. And that causes a lot of stress. And this is one of the other reasons for burnout, when we are not achieving. So this is when we need to evoke this childlike sense within us, where a child, if you look at it, a child never looks at failure as the end of the world thing, because a child doesn't know what is failure. Whenever a child tries something and it doesn't work, for that child, it's an unsuccessful attempt. An unsuccessful attempt simply means you are now given this opportunity to try again with a better strategy that's going to enhance your probability of success. If you were to look at failures as unsuccessful attempts, there will never be failures in life, just multiple opportunities to succeed. Okay? So, we've got to start from within, because many years ago, I learned this myself. When we change on the inside, right, the world on the outside changes with us. Because when our lenses change, guess what? Our experience of the world changes. And that improves our quality of life and how we experience life. And life is beautiful if we choose to experience the beauty of life. Okay, so what do you do when you're feeling burnt out? Right, that's the big question right now. What do you do when you're feeling burnt out? The priority is self-care. So when you are feeling burnt out, what do you do? What are the habits that you create for yourself? There's a famous quote by Aristotle that says, "We are what we repeatedly do. Therefore, excellence is not an act, excellence is a habit." And for us to be excellent at managing burnout, what are the habits that we are creating for ourselves on a daily basis? All right? What is our response to burnout? And to me, it starts with this concept that I like to call me time. Me time meaning, sorry, it's not here, all right? Self-care for me starts with this concept called me time. Me time meaning me time, all right? The time that you spend with yourself to reset and recharge your emotions. That means it's not work and it's not life. It's you. What is your time on a daily basis? So, what do you do when you wake up in the morning? For most people, it's to check the phone, right? Because for most people, it's the phone that wakes us up. And immediately, because the phone wakes us up, the phone is in our hand, whether we are hitting stop or we're hitting snooze. And immediately, the next step is, okay, let's check what are the messages, right? That's on our phone. What are the emails that we receive? Okay, I've got to reply this. For others, could be picking up the phone and going through TikTok and saying what's new, what has happened in the last 7 hours since I went to bed, and what's the new updates on TikTok, right? But what are the habits that we create for ourselves? My question, why can't we start the day, right? First thing when we wake up, why can't we do 10 push-ups when we start our day, all right? Because 10 doesn't seem like a lot, but can you imagine if you're doing 10 push-ups to start your morning every day? That's a habit that's maintained, that's focused on self-care. Because self-care is both mind and body. All right? Body, we get the exercise, but when we're exercising, it also releases certain hormones and chemicals within the body that's promoting mental well-being. Right? There are people who wake up, the first thing they do in the morning is they go out for a jog. Right? They go out for a walk. They meditate. They read. So that's your me time every day. So what is your me time? And if you ask me, you have to schedule me time because this is your time with yourself. What else can you do in your me time? Journaling, self-reflection, right? A lot of people underestimate the power of journaling, right? I'll tell you very quickly why journaling is so important. Okay, think about it this way. You have a phone, right? And you're very busy taking a lot of pictures and videos on your phone on a daily basis. Eventually, what will happen? The phone will run out of memory. And when the phone runs out of memory, what's going to happen? You now have to start deleting. Problem is, you have taken thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of photos that deleting now becomes really tough because you don't have the time, right? So journaling is that process where we transfer what's here to a piece of paper, to a book. Because when we are doing self-reflection on a daily basis, on top of what's good that we have experienced in the day, we are also putting down all those challenging moments, all those learning experiences, all those problems that we have faced onto a piece of paper. And what's down already frees up our mind so that we don't hold on to all the negative emotions that is associated with those challenges and those problems. Okay, so that has got to be part of your self-care routine. What else is part of your self-care routine? So you have to think about this, all right? I can give you some suggestions like what I've shared with you, but these are the questions that you have to reflect upon later on when you have the time. But the priority is me time and your self-care routine. What is your self-care routine? I talked about traveling just now. My suggestion is this, right? How many of us travel? I mean, we've gone on holidays before, right? A lot of people. How many here have gone on holidays alone? Right? Where did you go and when was the last time?
3 babies.
3 babies, okay? 3 babies. And that's the case for most people because once we start having a family, right? Holidays and traveling is about family holidays. It's fun. It's good. It's about creating memories with our loved one. But it's not always an easy process, as you can imagine, because going on a family holiday is stressful. There's a lot of planning, meaning we still don't get self-care time or me time. Right? My advice to you is this, all right? There are 3 areas of relationship in life, right? There is people, possession, and thoughts. Okay? 3 areas of relationship: people, possession, and thoughts. This is all the relationships that we have in life. People is the people around us. It could be family, it could be friends, it could be colleagues, it could be clients, it could be bosses, right? These are all people. Possessions are the things we have in life. And the last is the thoughts that we have. This is a relationship that we have. All relationships in life can either be uplifting and empowering, or it can be toxic and things that stresses us out. There is no relationship in life that we cannot walk away from. No relationship in life that we cannot walk away from. But there are some relationships in life that we don't want to walk away from. Okay? And for good reason. Because, for example, if kids are stressing me out, I can't just abandon my kids, right? And leave them and then walk away. Because, as much some people would think that, that's a viable option. But the truth is, we can't walk away because it is stressful. But having said that, it doesn't mean that we cannot allocate time every year to take a break, even if it means taking a break from family. Because if you ask me, I think if taking 2 weeks away from family to go and travel on your own to a different country, to a different culture, among different people who is not in your normal social circle or life circle, and that is going to allow you to come back and be more effective with your family because you are reset and you are recharged. I think that's great because there's no point on feeling burnt out where now you are with family, but you're not enjoying your time with family. Okay, so traveling for me, I think it's a very important aspect that we often neglect, and I mean traveling alone. Traveling alone for at least, I mean, you don't have to do 9.5 months like what I did. If you can do it, go ahead, because there's so much I can share with you about what I learned and what I gained from traveling alone. But at the very least, schedule once a year, at least 1 week. Travel by yourself, be with yourself, and go and build this relationship with who I feel, in my opinion, is one of the most important person in your life, which is yourself. This is the person that we often neglect building a relationship with. We build a relationship with everyone else except ourselves. All right, to the point that we don't even know what we would do if we were to travel alone. Our natural tendency would be to call a friend. Hey, you know what? I'm going to go to Bali for about a week. Would you like to join me? You know, and the thing is, don't go and be by yourself. And believe me, the things you will learn about yourself will amaze you. Okay, so I told you that I was going to speak for 20 minutes. Many years ago, I realized something about myself. The moment I hold on a mic and I start speaking, I never stop. And my 20 minutes has become 29 minutes, which means I'm going to invite Ashok back to the stage. If Ashok wants to ask me some questions, if you guys want to ask me some questions, ask me his questions. I've got 3 more books there, which I really want to give away. So for the first person that asks me a question, you're going to get a copy of my book. So come on.
Thank you very much, Jit.